think for us it's better right now that we lose and that we improve than that we win everything. I mean, obviously it's like good to win everything, but sometimes in LCS you win like by some percentage of luck, or you just win by enemy misplaying really hard. We played against Splice, we were like 6k gold ahead, and then we just drew, and then they just came back, and then we just tilted the second game. Those kind of losses really hit us, and then we just have to fix those stuff.
Just have to fix our stuff, then we're gonna win.
No, I love his point. I actually love the first point he's making in this clip here, where he's saying sometimes in the LCS you win because the enemy team made a massive mistake or you were a little bit lucky. And those wins don't really work for you when it comes down to like the nitty-gritty in playoffs and at Worlds, because that's where you gotta win because you're the better team. So I absolutely love the point. But I also think, you know, Fnatic are just too inconsistent at the same time that we can't really say it's only about losing games to learn.
All right. Well, we obviously heard from Febiven because we are here in the arena for our match of the week between G2 and Fnatic, which is also our last series of the regular season in week 9 here.
Unless we get a tiebreaker.
Oh, yeah, unless we get another tiebreaker, then it would be, yeah, best of 3.
The ironic thing about this matchup, so Fnatic need to pick up a win, at least one, to hold third place.
Yes.
And the irony of holding third place is they need to win one game to avoid G2 in the semi-finals. Because of the way the bracket resets, third place will not face first. G2 are locked in first. They need to beat them once at least to avoid having to play them again until the finals.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I don't think it's that funny, but you...
No, it's just very weird.
Yeah.
No, it's just very weird because by beating them, you then push back when you have to face them again.
Yeah,
Definitely.
again, it's good.
Yeah, and as said, possibly 4th, 5th is what could be on the line if they drop a couple of games, or if they go 0-2, and then Giants is in 3rd, so that's really good for Giants because then they face a lower seeded team first. However, let's talk about G2 first in this one, inconsistencies. They had another one-on-one yesterday, trying out some new things versus Vitality, who showed up really good in that second game, it has to be said. But that is something that we've seen from G2 a lot of times, the split. Not an understatement. That said, Splice has more game wins. More teams have a lot of series wins, but G2 sometimes is like, oh, one-on-one is
It is kind of crazy that, first of all, they never lost like a BO2, so that's great.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's been very few weeks where they actually got like the 4-0, won both the series, because again, so often it is the 1-1 all the time. Obviously, they didn't get punished for it because they're locked in first place now, so it's great. They've been trying out certain things. Don't know how often they're going to be using the Disco Nuno like they showed earlier in the split. Maybe there's just a one-off, and then they're like, we're never going to play it again. And hey, it works again. They're first place. I just want to see, you know, I want to see this team for playoffs, kind of 3 weeks boot camp against like Splice, just reach like the ceiling of G2, because they can be really good.
I'm very excited to see what the super crisp G2 looks like, and they're already in first place, so that's a good start. Let's talk about Fnatic. Subbed in Warlib yesterday versus Roccat, dropped again. They are electing to start with Warlib again in this one, but yesterday he didn't have the greatest game, however, on Gangplank.
No, the GP bot didn't work out for Fnatic, especially his teleport was absolutely awful. And he put him really far behind.
Yeah, it just did not work out with Warlib at all. He is starting today, however, so they're giving it another try. They do only need 1 point. So if Warlib can pick up the point, great. If they have to bring Kikis back in, even better. It doesn't really matter. Fnatic's still trying. We had Maxler on the desk yesterday, and he was saying that, you know, it is a noticeable difference between Warlib and Kikis. So we'll see whether they keep Warlib for the entire
Kikis
set.
versus his ex-team. He'll want to play.
He's going to come in. You know, here's what's going to happen. Fnatic will lose the first game. But then they sub Kikis back into the lineup.
And they lose the second game.
And they lose the second game as well. And they got to play a tiebreaker. No, they sub him in, and then suddenly they're going to win because Kikis goes like 10-0, takes down Expect multiple times. And they get the 1-1, they lock third place. All the Fnatic fans are happy, but also sad at the same time because they were supposed to be top 2 and they're not really top 2. I can already picture the Reddit discussion, draft issues, you know, Dale not smiling enough. There are big issues on Fnatic.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I just love hearing you predict all these things. Maybe my life is the next thing you should predict. We'll see. Maybe we'll get to that.
Predict the science support, I'm just saying.
Okay.
That wasn't hard. There was nothing on the line.
I'm just saying.
All right, the players are ready. So to see some League of Legends and our match of the week, we're going to give it over to our casters.
Thank you, Shox.
Toss it too. I mean, like, give it, hand it, throw it.
I mean, as long as it makes it over here, we're not really going to complain. Thanks, Shox. I'm here at the Crapo desk.
The Crapo desk.
The Crapo
Welcome to
desk.
the Crapo desk. I had the Sifa with me, and we are ready for our match between G2 and Fnatic. I'll read that thing instead.
Okay, and then I can just talk. It's our match of the week. It's pretty hype. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Of course, Fnatic, as they mentioned, on the desk, fighting for that 1 point. But let's just get right into it. Let's take a look at those lineups. Starting on the blue side for G2. Of course, in the top lane, expect Jungle Trick, mid lane Perks, 80 carries Fen, support Mithy, and their coach Youngbuck.
Yeah, and I just got told by Perks in the lobby, Crepo, can you hurry up, brother? So we're just going to jump straight to Fnatic. Fnatic also has a roster, and in that roster, they have a top laner, and that top laner's name is Werlib. But we are waiting for production to get the Fnatic. There we go.
Hey.
I'm rushing. I'm trying to hurry up for Perks, but we got to go slowly. So yeah, Fnatic's roster, top lane Werlib, jungle Spirit, mid lane Fevivan, Reckless as AD carry, Yellow Star in support, and then Daylor, look at that man, in control of his
So
roster.
serious.
Yeah.
So Crepo, now that the standings are, I mean, relatively locked in place, there's some pressure on Fnatic to find a single point here. Do you think we're going to see more teams experimenting in picks and bans?
Ooh. Like Fnatic, they need one win, and I think G2, they want to close out the split rather cleanly. I think they can experiment a little bit with stuff they've been practicing, if they need stage practice on it, because it's a bit of a catch-22, right? Like you're heading out into playoffs and you have a couple secret picks, but do you really want to show them on the stage? Not really, right? Unless they need like stage environment practice. If G2 scrims are so different than their on-stage environment, which they could be because they are very flamboyant players, which means scrims end at like 20 minutes, and then you can't really gauge certain picks. Maybe G2 will stay from the norm, but I expect relatively meta picks here.
Yep. Relatively standard so far. Tahm Kench coming out as a ban, of course, a champion that has risen in priority in the last few weeks, especially with Kog'Maw.
Exactly. Just these niche picks like Tahm Kench and Kog'Maw have been rising. The Wits End build on Kog'Maw, Tahm Kench, you know, having flex and just some denial. Teams are still not really used to the fact that Devour is a mechanic sometimes, and G2 wants nothing of all that.
Yeah, taking out both pieces of that Kog'Maw combo there, not giving that powerhouse comp over to the hands of Fnatic. Trundle going to be their final ban away as well, limiting the flex pick options. Fnatic keeping it pretty standard though. Malzahar, Nidalee taken off the table.
Yeah, and that actually works well for Expect because he's an Aurelia player himself, and Trundle is just a super good matchup into that. So at least that makes the Aurelia more viable here. Aurelia has a skill matchup into the Jax from Werlib if it comes out here, so at least he has something to maybe play into that lane.
Karma going to be the final ban taken off the table, of course. A very standard first pick thus far. Pretty flexible pick overall. Support in the mid lane. What's the first pick here, Crepo?
I mean, you could do jungler comfort pick. Shen is optional. Let's see, what else is there?
Shen, locked in.
Well, a lot of teams like just playing, especially for G2, I think it works so well. They're used to playing low econ on their top laner. It adds a global. Shen has almost no losing matchups in the current meta. Like he goes even against almost anything, and even if it goes down like 10 or 15 CS, opposing team can just get out global by that ultimate. So
Fnatic not taking too much time on that second lock and going to pick up the Olaf as well as the Sivir. A lot of mobility paired together.
definitely like the Sivir pickup here. A lot of mobility is just necessary because even if you don't pick it yourself, you give it to G2 and then they can build a super strong comp. Sivir Olaf is a comp that Fnatic have run in the past. Karma's out, so they have the mobility trump card. Sometimes when you draft Karma and the opposing team has Sivir, your speed up gets like negated and then it really doesn't matter at all. So Fnatic looking for a kind of rush at you composition. But G2 already has a lot of backline dive with his Hecarim and Shen too. He will not pick Teemo, he's just trolling the crowd. It's an homage to Reginald's tweet out there. I thought of making my own tweet. If I get 0 retweets, absolutely nothing will happen. Because I hate these retweet things. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man.
Gotten bitter in your old age.
Yeah.
G2 gonna lock in the Taric. Like what I'm seeing here thus far, a lot of fight prowess.
Yeah, it's a repeat of their comp that they run. Was it yesterday? I think it was actually, where they just have Hecarim go in, you have the proxy stun from Taric on the Hecarim, and then if needs be, you can Shen ulti either forward and just piggyback ride, and it's really the pain train. It's a lot of chase, a lot of mobility. They don't have any movement speed steroids here, like a Karma or a Sivir, however.
All right, there's the Jax lock in. It's the Werlib special. Now, this is something we haven't seen banned away from him. Kind of a pick we can expect a lot from. His Gangplank yesterday was a little bit lackluster. Gonna have to see if he's stepped it up, what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, give me that Nivea.
I just don't trust picks and bans right now after that Splice game. Like
I mean, you don't talk about hovers usually, you know, you just wait.
Yeah, but
safest thing.
That's the thing is, I feel like there was a period of time where we could, when there was a meta and when teams weren't picking Scion support. is, however, going to be the Alistar in the end for Yellow Star. So a little bit of a comfort pick coming in there for him.
Yeah, he goes back to this Alistar a lot, and then I'm not sure how much. Whenever I look at Alistar's value in a team comp, I look at like how much frontline there is already, and you have a Jax flanking, you have an Olaf in there already. Like, is the Alistar necessary? It is good peel against the likes of Hecarim though, because you can just wait. You can gotta play catch. You're gonna go goalkeeper Alistar. You wait for Hecarim and Shen to come at you and knock him up and knock him out of the fight. So that's definitely an option. But it is definitely a comfort pick for Yellow Star.
Curious too, we were a little bit critical of Yellow Star yesterday, Fisho and myself, when we were on the desk. So
yeah.
Curious to see if he's going to be able to keep up and step up with these mechanics. Very strong engaged champion, something he has.
The mechanics of pressing WQ.
I guess it's not really a thing anymore now that they made the combo easy.
There's zero mechanics involved with Alistar, but that doesn't mean he's an easy champion to play. Because when you have so few tools available, you really need to get maximum output out of them, and a good combo versus a bad combo can decide the outcome of an entire team fight. Luckily, they made it a lot easier. There's actually a lot of skill that went away out of the combo, because you used to be able to combo relatively like early and late and still get the WQ effect. Like you could, especially right now, if you're doing minion taxis into Q combos, they're actually pretty delayed because of the way the game reduces the combo. So actually, there is some outplay potential taken away from Alistar with the quality of life change.
Gonna have to see if that costs him anything. I assume you'll keep your eye on it. You'll let us know those situations as they unfold. But
will Crepo be watching the support?
Will Crepo watch supports?
Only talk about the supports ever and Crux? Yes, of course. That's all he does.
Final lock-in going to be the Kassadin matched up in the mid lane versus the Vladimir.
Ooh, I like the Tristana. Tristana Tarix is a really fun lane to watch. There's some outplay potential too. Need to be careful though. Silver Spell Shield will be crucial here for Echoes and Yellow Star. Let's see, do they need a lane swap? I imagine Shen does well into Jax early. I feel like...
I mean, in days past, old Shen, old Jax back in that era of top lane, Shen, Jax, Renekton, Shyvana, that kind of period of time, that was a very skill-intensive matchup, and it was kind of considered a 50-50 for
but now Shen has like one of those spells that negate auto attacks against a champion that is entirely based around auto attack. But I guess you trade
I guess that might make a difference, yes.
I guess you trade Shen W for Jax E, but don't really see it that often anymore. Most of the time though, whenever we see matchups stop, we call them, we do the Cassie thing, we call them a skill matchup. And then we see, and they're like, obviously, Jax is definitely favored in this matchup.
Adaptation on the Cassie.
Look at Youngbuck here, stepping into the space that he creates for himself, you know, going for the over-the-line handshake, you know, really confident. Bold.
Aggressive.
Taylor catches the handshake. Yeah.
I like it.
Handshake analysis.
That's where we're at, of course. Getting ready for this match of the week.
Are you hyped, Sifa? I'm not feeling too much hype in your voice.
Well, okay, you know what? We're both a little jet-lagged, but we're going to bring it this game.
We're going to bring it.
We're going to bring it. There's going to be hype. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, Reckless got rid of the Mammoth. Oh, we've been told to read.
Yes, but with picks and bans complete, it's time to head into this colossal clash in our match of the week, G2 versus Fnatic.
G2 really good at team fight and the skill machine. Everyone have a really potential to make a play. G2 is really strong team right now.
G2 are continuing with their relentless aggression.
It's up to them to fix all their issues and get as strong as possible. We did it with Origin, we made it to the finals, so it's not like it's impossible.
They just play so well around pressure, they control vision so good, they have the best individual players.
I don't think they do anything particularly well or better than us, so unless they pick it up for the next match, they will not be a threat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for our final best of two of the regular season. G2 versus Fnatic.
We have shocks in our ears.
You can hear the cheers. You see the fans.
Look at all those fans. Look at it in the back. That's us, Sifa. Woo! All right. Yeah, we had a little bit of issues going into that game. Production was whispering in our ears. Read. But I was elected to feed, not to read.
Yeah, that's why you're here on the desk now, instead of there on the stage. The fans, a little confused about what they're cheering for.
I mean, if you arrive here for the first time and you don't know what esports is, sometimes it feels like you're at a really weird spelling bee.
What is TSM?
I don't know. Can you use it in a sentence?
No.
No. That's a cute skin, though.
Yeah, this is why the people keep coming back. Look at that. It's horrible.
Look at him. He puts his face on
burn
fire.
the face.
Adorable.
I wish my pets would damage my well-being.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at this.
So it looks like we no. All right, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. I fall into that trap.
Yeah.
No, looks like G2 are now swapping. They don't have perfect information, so this could just be the blind swap.
Yeah, I think it's the blind predict swap, or G2 feel like they're better in a lane swap because they have the Demolisher Tristana on their side. But Civ is a really good lane swap champion too in terms of tempo.
And of course, a lot of additional damage to that tower. But the other thing to consider, of course, Sivir with a massive amount of wave clear in the early game makes it very easy to force those waves in, as well as clear out future waves. But with the lane swap, as it looks to start to unfold, means we're going to have a little bit of a calmer early game here. Although last time we saw Taric invade the jungle, people started dropping left and right. Not this time, however.
Yeah, no supports dying here. Kind of sad it's a lane swap because standard lanes would have been really fun to watch.
Oh well, Crepo.
Oh well, we have the Castle matchup in mid though. Febiven here with that Castle should actually do fine into Vladimir because whenever he walks up, Vladimir has quite telegraphed trades. It's just really important for the Castle to always queue the Vladimir and never the minions. Because if you start queuing minions, you'll actually just get out sustain eventually, and you really want to use that Q as a sustain tool in trades and then lost the minions yourself. Once he gets access to W, he can then auto-attack resets on the minions, obviously. Sometimes you can queue minions, it's not like a 100% type of thing. But you don't want to get traded on whenever you queue a minion.
Yeah, losing out on a lot of the value of that magic shield if you do opt to queue outside of those champion v champion trades. You can see now as the lane swap cams come up, both sides taking relatively even tempo thus far, so.
See, Febiven did it right there, you know, you walk, I mean, this is very basic, but a lot of people really want these matchups broken down. Like, you walk up, you queue the Vladimir, and then you know when he's going to hit you, you now have a magic shield that you can expend by hitting creeps, because it's never worth hitting Vladimir himself, because he will always sustain up to 100%. So you just want to stay as close to 100% yourself as you can.
And of course, when we look at Cassidy too, this is not a champion that's about winning. It's about waiting, biding time, getting a few items under your belt, and then if you can find an advantage, snowballing that out of control as quickly as possible.
Yeah, watching a Cassidy kind of prepare minions and set up for himself is super satisfying for me. One of the ways I really learned a lot about this matchup is just watching Froggen stream when he was on the Cassidy and Binge. And it just teaches you the subtleties in this mid-lane matchup, because it's all 1v1, all about manipulating your minion wave and making sure you predict what's going to happen next in terms of where you park the minion wave and how you approach the last hits too.
Looks to be something that Febiven is aware of, as you saw, prepping some of those last hits, although still missing out on a few of them. Doesn't quite have the luxury of approaching that minion wave every time he needs to. Now Warlib on the bottom side going to have to back off. A similar story on the top side for Expect, although he's lingering for a pretty long period of time, knows that Yellowstar is not there, and Yellowstar still only level 1 after the lane swap, so no combo available right now means Shen pretty comfortable to farm out at least a little bit.
Yeah, super delayed lane swap here, you know, swapping around left to right.
Crepo, moved into phase 2 of the lane swap. Both teams taking their time.
I'm getting distracted here, man. It's because I'm focused on what's going on, but I hear Deficio's sweet and sultry voice because he's giving a tour here to the fans, but he speaks very fast. He doesn't notice.
He's just oblivious.
He's oblivious. But that's what we do here at the European LCS. Sometimes fans get a backstage tour. They get to see Sifa sitting in a chair.
Yeah, or aggressively blocking your view of a monitor. Slowly getting closer and closer to the screen, hoping that someone is going to pull the trigger. You gotta understand, I was on analyst desk for like UL Splice. It was like more than a kill a minute. Now I'm here and I'm like, all right, when's it going to happen?
Yeah.
Where's the action at?
No action so far, but we can delve into the game a little bit because it's still quite an important one. And just look at the compositions here, see what they want to do in the mid game. Fnatic is running a clear 1-3-1 comp. You know, they want to have one Cassidy on one side lane, they want to have the Jax on the other side lane, and then the 3-man group here in the middle with Sivir, Olaf, Alistar wants to hold, and it's actually quite a strong group. It has a little bit of wave clear, you know, with that Sivir and Olaf spam potentially, and they can also aggressively just engage, you know. They can send in the Alistar, they can roam from mid to the side lanes too and get something happening. But G2, if they actually get the group fight, they're better off, because G2 can put Vladimir on the side lane, but they're better off just brute forcing, you know, with the Hecarim going in these team fights. Whereas Fnatic, they really want to unlock the duelist potential of this Jax, of this Cassidy in the 1v1 matchups respectively. and then have them join the fights as a flank. G2 kind of want to just come in swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. Have the tools to do so as well. Of course, they're going to have to run down a Sivir and an Alistar. Relatively difficult task, but if that Hecarim ever finds his way into the backline, you know he's going to be delivering that Taric CC, that Shen. With Tristana and Vladimir backing him up, should be relatively easy for them to clean if they can get the appropriate circumstances, but we're not quite there yet. No split pushing threats online. Fnatic, of course, need to get that casted in or that Jax ahead, preferably both for them. And G2, I think more than content to just keep farming up and continuing. Ooh, this English is just so hard for me today. Continue to extend this lane swap.
Complete mirror here. We see everybody pushing to tier 2. We have then the Jax back off to kind of catch that wave, and he's going to get help from his support like the Alistar. The same mirror is going to happen like Mithy was considering basing, but then he felt safe enough. Basically, once he saw that Expect could catch the wave for free, Mithy ended up staying. So this is a super standard swap, and now we have a chance when everybody resets the map again to end up in pseudo standard lanes, but it's already so far into the game.
Of course, kind of exacerbates the gold here, grows it very rapidly. You've got 2 towers taken down on each side, 11k present for both teams. Capitalizing on that global gold, you can get items a lot faster. Fights potentially that much more bloody. And the Cloud Drake spawning on the bottom side, of course, we've delved into this enough. On this patch, a much more relevant objective, especially on teams so heavily reliant on mobility.
And now this is G2 actually challenging the bot side of the map. Look how they send nobody to top at all. They really want to come out as a unit here, take control of their bot side. Maybe they were eyeing for the Dragon because they just don't want to send their top laner in an empty lane where he can get run down until Reckless pushes up. So this buys them some time to make a bit of a map move. But they also don't want to send their dual lane up to the top. So that's why they made that like 5-man move into their own red jungle, claimed again. Send Expect back to base because he'll be waiting to catch that wave that Reckless is pushing in anyways.
Good spot for Fnatic to be. Fevin, of course, hitting level 6 without really losing too much in lane whatsoever. A small CS differential, 5. Not going to be too much at this point in the game, as well as picking up that blue buff and working toward that Rod of Ages. Things looking pretty good overall. Yellstar, punt that one back. Delivering it into the waiting hands of Spirit. Not going to be too much of a loss for G2, but a small advantage accrued for Fnatic in the end.
And this is where the lane swap kind of filters into a one-man hold on every side of the map. Both teams are really afraid of just trying to 3v1 dive Shen or Jack respectively, especially since you consider that Fevin has teleport. You can always prevent one of these dives, and you don't really want to dive the Jax either. So teams literally just focus on power, water passive approach. Dragon would cost them too much time, so they just choose to go for the sieges.
Sven, of course, quick ulti to knock World back, stopping any potential follow-up there, and as you said, focusing on that tower. It's a PvE game right now. Both teams waiting to hit those power spikes, waiting to get those items before they start looking to fight here. And for Fnatic right now, this is okay. Jack's more than happy to farm up. Similar story for Fevin. Much easier for him to trade out here and last it under tower with that blue buff.
Yep, an absurdly equal game here, void of pretty much any action whatsoever here. Fnatic obviously looking for at least one win. That's what they want to do. If not, they have to play the tiebreaker.
Decent amount of pressure. You can tell they're taking it seriously. They're not going for any over-aggressive moves. They're waiting for perfect information before they make any critical decisions. The Farm Fest goes on. I can talk about him taking these Krugs. We could talk about all the little things happening on screen.
They took out the magic out of Krugs, man, when they moved it away from double XP and people all had these Krug starts. I missed my mark to make the Krug video. The art of Krugs. All removed.
The art of Krugs with Crepo. Was that the new content?
That was the content that was coming.
Sorry, my friend. You gotta be faster. Hecarim fast.
Hecarim fast. Sven keeps moving away from his bot lane, looking for CBs. Tristana really strong. Kind of waiting Rollup here. Decent poke. Rollup's just not strong enough to challenge AD carries. Usually when you leave a Jax low and AD carry, he can wreck them, but in this extended like swap lane swap, he's just so under-leveled, and if they leave Sven alone too long with a tower, it will disappear.
Oh, Fnatic, though, they smell an opportunity, and they're looking for the collapse.
Oh,
TP coming in. Fevin's going to be on the back side. It's going to be an extended chase here. Worlub running in, has the level 6. TP from Worlub as well.
Yeah, he wants to cut them out. They need an early penalty if they want to defend this, or they will just have to go for a crossfire. Mithy sacrificing himself. This is actually pretty smart, because they only lose one kill here. Good read by Sven for staying in that brush.
Of course, both teleports dropping as well, so potentially an opportunity for G2 to come back, but great collapse coming in from Fnatic to pick up that first blood. You can hear the crowd. It only takes one kill.
Yeah,
they're already piled up.
Think about this though, is it worth it? Just a minor increase of gold for the time spent of 5 champions and 2 teleports while the map is being put into motion, or the map play in the bottom part of the map rather is being put into motion to set up for a siege on that tier 2. The wave hit the tier 2 in the top lane too, which meant it bounced, so the map is actually in a really good position for G2 to make their next play, and they only lost their support.
Of course, G2 now have the pressure. Rift Herald does drop in the favor of Fnatic. That's going to be important for them, especially with so many split-pushing threats on their team. But now you can see G2 looking to reap the benefits of that earlier aggressive play.
And no teleport on this Jack, which means this tower goes down. And if you look at towers bot and top, there's a lot of residual damage that's already been done here.
Oh,
be careful.
That's not what you want to be. Ooh, Sven manages to make it out, but now they're having to run back. The fight may have started pushing forward. Yellowstar drops in an instant. Trick picks up that kill. Fnatic over-aggressive on the punish.
And that was actually an example of the combo taxi being super slow here, because Yellowstar, well, actually not the right example, but Yellowstar went for W and Shen into Q flash to maybe interrupt Sven, but I think he would have been better off flash comboing Sven instantly, trying to connect. Sven did the right thing, flashing at the right time and got out, but he got really greedy there. I think there was a frame where Yellowstar could just Q flashed him, got him out. In the replay, hopefully we can get that sorted out. I think that was still a misplay. Side of Yellowstar.
Trading continues in the mid lane. Could be right, of course. Those crucial moments with Alistar, if you miss any of that CC, it makes it so hard for the team to follow up. Costs Yellowstar's life in the end. As he gets closer to level 6, a little bit less risky to go for aggressive plays, but takes a big risk on the top side of the map, or the bottom side, rather.
Still level 5 they're going in. Something we have to mention time and time again. You know, as an Alistar, you can interrupt your Q animation and flash. That's what all the pro players do. Let's watch this again here. Sven's gonna end up walking forward here to maybe finish off the tower. And then it's a game of chicken, like, do you Q flash here, do you Q flash here? No. And Yellowstar just a little bit too slow. I wonder if that was actually a flash Q or Q flash. It looked like that animation came out very late. This is where I wish we could just go back and actually track the inputs, because it felt like a flash Q instead of a Q flash. For many people, that is super boring. That's my life.
I mean, when you look at like truly the finest micro play, and I think a lot people love looking at great micro interactions, that is one that is crucial. If you are a support player, you need to know about that animation canceling on Braum, on Alistar, on so many of these aggressive melee supports.
Yeah, because it's a little bit of a window there, but Sven did the right thing. He got out super close. And the tower did survive here though, so Fnatic have a minor gold lead, but there's so much chip damage done. Top lane is at 65%. The bot lane tier 2 is now on like 10%, whereas towers on G2 Esports side full HP pretty much.
Continuing to pressure out, they've now put their AD carry into the mid lane. Jax and Kassadin taking up their respective sides, off and bot respectively. Yellowstar goes for the combo. Perks is going to pull on out of that, and the 1-3-1 has begun for Fnatic. Pressure now on to G2 to make a move.
G2 can definitely match with a 1-3-1 of their own, but Vladimir on the side lane just doesn't have teleport, so that's where G2 then need to be careful of potential double TP collapse. But Vladimir on the side lane is incredibly hard to deal with, especially if he's farming as well as he is right now. 135 CS at 14 minutes.
Of course, 16 CS relatively making up for the kill there, so about dead even in the mid lane. G2 pulling ahead with a small goal lead, nothing too significant at this point.
And you see that Fnatic has lost control of these side waves. It's always kind of G2 pushing them over the mark and then Fnatic pushing them back, and that means that G2 always has a bit of leeway walking up in these lanes, and then they get to chip these towers a little bit more. Mithy's hovering around. Remember, they can dive freely if they find people alone at these turrets. Obviously, Fnatic's doing a good job grouping, but then G2 will just hit the turrets.
Backing off, Tristana slowly chipping away, as you said. Perk's doing a similar...
Oh, Rekka's overextending here, because with Shen, Perks could technically just flash on him and look for a dive.
G2 are backing out, taking a little bit of control in the jungle as well. So they're pushing for more. And yes, Fnatic have got the 1-3-1 set up. They did take that small advantage in the exchange. But now with that other kill traded back, things are evening up pretty quickly. And G2 honestly making some moves to burn down these towers that Fnatic are not even close to.
Ooh, greedy passing by Sven here, but no ward from Fevin. Doesn't actually see him.
Oh, goes forward, does have the ward in the bush, but no, not enough damage there.
The little things matter, you know, if you're operating the map on half HP, you have to base a lot sooner, and those are the windows of opportunity that Fnatic's looking for. Also, Fnatic did a great job of kind of stabilizing, because they used both teleports on that first spot play, but they did not lose a tower in return. and right now have both teleports available again, so they need to look for deep wards that they can then bait G2 into. It's like, yeah, step forward, and then double TP flank here. That's Fnatic's game plan.
Looking for those opportunities. Never want that Kassadin and Jax finding a free ticket into your back line. Of course, as you said, that 5-minute window where G2 had potentially the opportunity to punish, a little bit missed out on. Gold now dead even once again. 16-minute mark. Teams not breaking through those tier 2s quite yet, but G2 is getting ever closer each and every time they push in the wave. You can see on your screen, teams both just content to clear out the waves here. Not a whole lot of action once again. Neither team, you can see they're kind of testing each other. Both teams looking for the win here. Neither one wanting to get over aggressive or give up an opportunity for some action.
Yeah, tempered is a good word. Slightly enervating.
Worlds here though.
I want the hype, man. This is supposed to be the last match of the split, match of the week. I was waiting for some bloody aggression. I told myself, nope, we're not going to go off screen. We're not going to talk about anything other than the game.
This is match of the week. It is serious time for serious things, and Perkz is taking it serious. That's a beautiful Hemo Plague. Engage comes in, Trick looking to deliver to the backline, but Yellowstar goes for the disengage. The Fnatic backline is alive and well, but they're not hitting anything. G2 so healthy. Fevivin looking for the disengage. Flash forward from Perkz. Warlip set to fall, looking to turn back on the stun. Will he drop? Snare goes through. Expect brings it back into Reckless. He overextends. He goes down. G2 happy to deliver a bit of blood. Fevivin set to fall. The charge gonna give him the fade away. Power Rangers finish for Sven in the bot lane. I'm sorry, I had to keep going. It's
yeah, Power Ranger finish, and that's exactly what we're looking at. The difference in these two compositions. If G2 is allowed to group up and get a 5v5 engage, they have all the tools to win. You know, it's layer after layer of engage. Let's watch this again. Perkz gets such a big reward because Fnatic, they group for an objective that's really not worth grouping for. And then yes, Yellowstar has some peel here potentially on Trick, but look at it, this is a 3v5 fight. Fnatic is just getting wrecked by this Hemo Plague, and then this beautiful flash E from Perkz as well. Mithy's joining in, and now in the back end of the fight, everybody's about to go invulnerable, and then yeah, Sven can start racking up the resets. But this is the problem with the approach to the fight. Fnatic's comp is not bad, but they did not play to their strengths here. They're a composition that has to keep the map open, look for flanks, look for little pickoffs, you know, with the Kassadin, with the Jax. Instead, they grouped up, and G2 took that opportunity and got 3 kills for it.
And good confident execution coming in from G2. We talked about this. You need the flanks. You need to find a way into the back line if you're the Kassadin, if you're the Jax. G2, see them on the front line, see them grouped up. They know that there's no way they're fighting through the Hecarim and the Shen, and they are so quick to punish. Now, pulling ahead in the gold, 31.5, 29.4, just about that 2K gold lead for themselves. Still no sight set on the Cloud Drake. No opportunity yet, of course.
Nobody cares about poor little Cloud Drake.
It's pretty good now.
They gave him a buff. No plans.
It's a rough life for the Cloud Drake.
Fnatic cared once.
Yeah, they're not going to make that mistake again.
The Cloud Drake broke their heart and their faces.
Turns out grouping in the pit against the Shen, Hector, and Vladimir, not the best choice.
But at least you learn, right?
Still plenty of time to adapt here. Spirit getting aggressive.
Let's see. Is there any teleport advantage? Now, this is where Fnatic kind of want to brute force topside. If I was there, I would just go for like a play on topside and have the Kassadin TP in. Look at Perkz, he's isolated on the bot lane. This is where you push in mid, rotate top, and just put some pressure on the Shen and hope that you can win the fight, 4v5, because there's no way Vladimir reaches in time. But they're redistributing the lanes on the side of G2. You're matching Sven on the side lane then, it seems.
Fevin moving up. You can see on your minimap is Fnatic are responding to the top side. Going to give Reckless over onto the red buff there. Pings coming down onto the Baron. Early to see those pings, but the 20-minute mark, I guess, giving a lot of respect over to any potential sneaks or just looking to have a little bit more vision control on the top side.
Yeah, after tier 1 towers are down and the dragon isn't that attractive for you, you can just move the vision into deep red area of opponent. Like, that's the most important part there for G2. Because you don't necessarily need the vision to do Baron immediately, but if you have it later on, you can just start baiting with it. But they want to finish up this tower in the bot lane.
Oh, Yellowstar gets the combo. Is going to hit 3, Trick tanking the tower. Not a whole lot of damage goes down. They're going to get it in the end. So much chip damage laid down over such a long period of time. Sven finally grabbing that one. G2 cashing in on those earlier exchanges. Up in the gold lead to 3K. Now pulling off Fnatic. You can see they're ready to fight, but they just don't have the opportunity there.
And this is where I expect we'll likely have to move to the bottom lane after he pushes out this lane, because you want to have your TP away from the Baron. If you are G2 Esports, you're finally finishing up Clouddrake here. Let's see what's next for them. But yeah, they'll always have issue dealing with the double TP split push, but that's when they need to brute force a fight somewhere in the middle, or maybe use the objective and force Fnatic to come at them.
Fnatic pulling back at least a little bit, but they are starting to lay down a bit of control of their own on the Baron. They see the dragon goes down. That is their signal. They have a little bit more freedom on top side. But for now, Kassadin and Jax just continuing to farm up. Perkz, though, doesn't get the memo. He's looking for a little bit more blood. He's going to dash forward.
Not a fan of that play here. You can't go, like, you shouldn't go aggressive if you have your entire team in base, you know. It's such an optimistic play from Perkz. Yes, it's nitpicking. He will always win that trade. He should be fine on backing out, but Ghost, well, it seems that Perkz only wasted Ghost. Ghost is such an important tool from Vladimir in these teamfights, especially if you look at G2's composition. They want to Hacker him to run in with Ghost himself, Shen to land on top of it. You create a large amount of distance while you're charging in, and you don't want any distance between the Vladimir and the Hacker him. If you look at last fight as well, that G2 decisively won, Sven and Mithy were trailing. Their poor little legs just couldn't catch up, you know.
If only they had a Ghost, too.
Yeah. Ghost had it.
Saw Ghost Rengar yesterday. Everyone can take Ghost now. G2, what are they doing? Where are they looking for control? They've got a little bit of vision around the Baron pit, a little bit of vision on the bottom side. So
they're actually elected to keep Perkz mid much more often here and then play a 1-1-3 instead of a 1-3-1 here. Moving Sven plus basically a bodyguard into the side lanes, because he's more mobile and he can actually jump out of some of these engages and has self-peel with ulti. He sees Weller TPing in front of him.
Coming in, double TP comes out, but there's both gonna get locked up. And Trick does a lot of damage. Damage immunity coming in from the Taric. They're not gonna get anyone. G2, they're turning this around. Fnatic, they've overcommitted. Sven looking to make his way out of the fight, but Whirlip is relentless in his pursuit. Oh, Sven! He makes it out, Spirit. He's overstayed his welcome. He's set to drop. The BM from Sven. He knows he styled his way out of that one, and Yellowstar now set to fall as well. Taxi to the creep to make it to safety, but G2, what a fight!
It looked like a beautiful pincer from Fnatic, you know, TP on one ward, Jax from the other side, and then Whirlip starts TPing out of nowhere. Like, he could have literally just walked up. That was so confusing, especially, I think the whole strength of that move is if G2 are so confused that they don't know what's going on. That's like the only way that teleport from Whirlip makes sense. Because he's literally TPing into a lane where he's standing in full vision, but then the reaction from G2, the stun from Taric on the double TP board, instant double stun, and then Sven gets the resets. That was beautiful to watch, especially when that invulnerability kicked in, and Fnatic did not expect that.
That was an execution. We're gonna watch
right here. Like, the goal is that you flank on Sven, I imagine, right? And then you have this Jax TPing all of a sudden. Featherman and Whirlip both gets insta-stun. Now Sven gets invulnerable here. Like, this is such a great fight from G2. Fnatic got absolutely destroyed and completely outplayed. Perkz wasn't even in this fight until the end, and then he engaged.
I mean, just excellent play. Is damage immune through the exhaust as well. Manages to knock him back with the buster shot. That is the dream play for any AD carry.
Yeah, he was just desperately looking for that reset. He got it. Perkz
takes a bit of damage back, but Sven is so strong. Yellowstar. Pop goes the Alistar in the end. That's the cold lead continues to grow for G2, and Sven.
Pop goes the Weasel and the Cow, apparently.
He's feeling himself.
Whirlip forever split pushing. Guys, I got this. Just hold.
It's a hard life for the Jax. G2 barreling down the mid lane, breaking through these structures, and in two team fights, two well-executed team fights on the side of G2, they are already setting up to close out this game. Breaking down an inhibitor. They got a Shen on the top side. Whirlip's gonna get a tower back. Now he needs to recall. He needs to be here to defend with the team. G2 putting on a clinic. I mean, honestly, not a whole lot to say here. Two amazing team fights leads to all this, and it may be one more. Trick gets aggressive. Yellowstar maybe looking for the turn. Now pulling off. No cooldowns burned quite yet. Reckless running forward. Has to be careful. Boomerang Blade goes out, comes back, and nothing going to come down in the favor of Fnatic.
Yeah, what you do have done well is just being very aware of Fnatic's double teleport and play around it. Especially if you see that most teams just default to putting their AD carry in the mid lane, but they actually had Sven go to the side lanes to clean them up because he had the necessary mobility to actually jump around a couple of times, flash, bust a shot, you know, all the self-peel. Whereas if it was Perks, for example, in the top lane that would have gotten teleported on, he wouldn't have lived as long. Gotten shut down immediately. Yes, he has pool, but that's about it. So they felt safer with Perks in the mid lane a lot and just has Sven on the side lanes. And they never let Fnatic get access to their jungle, so there never were any really deep wards of Fnatic, only lane warps, which meant every single of their double TP plays was telegraphed. Right now we see the competition
sniffed out. They've
effect.
overcommitted. Reckless gets popped in an instant. Tricks on a rampage. Fnatic have sent themselves straight to their doom. Warlib set to fall. Perks still barely alive. Olaf can't be disabled, and down goes Perks in the end. Febvin has to be careful. He's running for his life. Spirit, a similar story. Taking their time on this one, trying to catch the Kassadin, but not quite sure they're going to get it. They turn on Spirit instead. The Fear throws him back. The Pony takes him down. Febby's going to make it out, but that is it for Fnatic.
And that was the composition of G2, you know, hunting for prey. If somebody straggles along and isn't with their team, you can immediately send in the Ghost Hecarim with the Shen on the back, piggyback in, and then just destroy whatever comes in your warpath.
Beautiful execution coming in from G2. They get the advantage. They know they've got it, and they're going to take this game one in near effortless fashion. Deal with it, says the Taric ultimate as they close out, immune to damage. Flawless game one from G2.
Yeah, this composition, a lot of really strong comps have been built here, both in Europe and I think LPL as well, with Shen and Hecarim as a core. Really strong double frontline because it serves a defensive play pattern if you use the Shen ulti, you know, on a carry that gets caught, but you also just have really good engage. Hecarim in itself traditionally has always been secondary engage. You don't want to send in Hecarim first because it's so easy to sidestep or the fear puts people in a bad spot. But if you layer that engage with a Shen ultimate on top rather, then suddenly that whole Hecarim charging in makes sense. And then when they're dealing with this double front line, you have Vladimir diving in, you have everybody just piling, dogpiling on whatever you hit. And if you have a bit of a self-peel on your AD carry, you can actually play that comp to great effect.
Yeah, and I really like it as well with Hecarim's picking up the Triforce so frequently. It feels like that Shen shield gives him that extra little bit of tankiness. Still such a threat as he leaps into the back line. Always love seeing those kind of submarine compositions. But this game, it feels like Fnatic actually had a pretty okay start. They were farming up. They were safe. The Kassadin was so safe. They even managed to come away with first blood there, too. It was...
But they put in a lot of effort getting to... I think we have a replay.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
And this is just like... This is a double TP play. What I like a lot and the most here... Again, this is a TP from World that you shouldn't be making, dude. Just scout. Like, there's a 100% chance to kill both people if World actually paths up. Like, World is not needed to kill Mithy there. He lets Sven escape with this teleport. This is another TP waste. Or just like not to use it, for example. Because then you have another TP ready and you can play the map again. They overcommit on these double TP plays that they likely practice in scrims, but I feel like they go towards like a mechanism. It's like, okay, we're making a play, double TP has to be on the same ward because this is what we practiced.
And double TP was the name of the game for the whole game, right?
Yeah.
Fnatic, multiple fights as we look to one of their fights that occurred in top lane right before that Baron. You can see exactly how double TP counted against them once again.
Just walk up, 80 carries on your screen. That means you can walk to him here. Like they eat a very predictable double stun into then AoE invulnerability. This is a dream fight for G2. Look. This is 4v5. They won the fight 4v5. At this point, they can still clean up the fight. Perks wasn't even here yet. And then he enters. And if you're Fnatic and you're catching a team off guard, presumably with a double teleport, and you allow yourself to get cleaned up 4v5, you made a major predicting mistake. You just misplayed.
And I don't want to be too hard on Warlib. Obviously a new member of this team, but he teleported in plain sight. If there was, the team sees him teleport, they go, okay, where's the teleport going? They see the ward behind him.
But this goes to a greater problem because G2 was starving out Fnatic. This is not a play that Fnatic want to make when they're ahead. This is a Fnatic that was pushed against the wall and they wanted to fight their way out of the situation. But the problem was they couldn't find a way out. And the way you really get out of there is you have to break up the splitting for a moment, group as 4, go in and find some wards, litter the enemy jungler, then back off, then go back into your split push kind of mode, and then you have deep wards, and then you can TP behind and you can surprise people. The problem is Fnatic just made some misplays early. G2 played very conservative, that's why we had a low kill game, and kept chipping away at the towers. And Fnatic felt like they had to do something. And sometimes it works out, and it backfired in this case, and that pretty much was the game.
Yeah, well, looking ahead at the games to come, of course, Fnatic have opted now to sub in Kikis, returning back to their starting top laner. Warlib got some time. Got a chance to show his stuff on the stage. Still looks a little bit rough for the team, but Kikis, we've seen these guys do much better with him starting in the lineup. And remember, Fnatic only needs that 1 point.
And especially if you compare TP skill from Kikis versus Warlib, I think one of the best attributes for Kikis is that he's such a vocal player, very communicative, and his TPs have always been on point.
Yeah, I think one of the things, since the start of his career as a top lane, we were always very impressed with that. But guys, while Fnatic and G2 have been going head-to-head over here, let's take a look at the tiebreaker going on between Vitality and Schalke. This is happening right now on EU LCS 2.
Spraddle, Rawles, Fox, and Steve. The only thing that was a threat to them was Gilius, and the fact that Vitality were quickly able to collapse down on this Infernal Drake means that they can pick this one up even after losing a team fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've heard that EU LCS 1 has just joined us for a quick look-in. In case you didn't get the brief, because of tied points, tied series wins, and a tied head-to-head, Schalke and Vitality are in a tiebreaker. The winner of this game secures 7th and is safe until spring next year, and it's Schalke in a great lead. And of course, the loser drops down to the promotion tournament, where they will play either Roccat or Millennium in the second round. I do have to say, I'm disappointed Schalke didn't get the Infernal Drake, because do you know what you call 2 Oceans and an Infernal?
No.
It's the sauna buff.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
I've had a debate when we were making up all these names.
I've had a debate with people about whether it should be 2 clouds and fire. I'm like, no, because you put the water on the heat, the coals, and that's what gives you the mist. So I'm quite adamant that
we can agree that 3 Infernals is a hot mixtape, I'm fine with that.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. MLXG from the LPL is the nickname that means spicy hot pot.
Ah.
So if you're in the LPL region, I think 3 Infernals by MLXG, I think you could give it to him. It's the hot pot buff. Regardless, Schalke were forced away from the Dragon thanks to the teleport and the Destiny, but it now means that Cabo does not have teleport where Steve does. So that's going to open up options and opportunities for Schalke to extend this lead further.
But remember that the Destiny is available for Nukeduck, and he has now completed his Lich Bane and the Rod of Ages. Rod is going to get interrupted a little bit by a pillar. And what you're starting to see is Fox come online in this side lane. Level 14 Vladimir completed the Zhonya's Hourglass. 15 just been hit. Highest level in the game right now. This Vlad is looking very terrifying, but Cabo, he's doing the same on the other side of the map.
I mean, Black Cleaver completed as well as the Ravenous. So, you know, Fiora is fully online. And we've questioned how well can Fox control him or handle him. We've not seen that yet. But you have to wonder who else will go toe-to-toe. There's a little bit of a setup here. Gilius actually kind of cost Vitality in game 1 of the day many, many hours ago. And this time around, he's not going to run too far forward, running risks. Well, Fox is just going to steal away the blue buff. And Baron has to be the name of the game. With no Dragon for a little while, and vision around Baron. There's the teleport. Steve is in Mega now. He's looking for a target. Flash is available, but Vitality, they've already pieced out. Wild cards into Deadly Flourish. That's how you can stop that one down. And now Schalke, they've used their TP for no gain.
The Flash was used by Kasing, but that's not the worst summoner spell to lose. The biggest concern right now is that Kasing is on pretty low mana. Gilius just had his Bansh's Veil popped.
Hashtag work.
But, I mean, it is a tense game right now, Quick Shot, because so much on the line, both teams looking for opportunities, and Steve, without the Mega Gnar, without the TP, are in a good position for Vitality to try and force something.
Yeah, that 3,000 gold lead becomes less and less significant the longer this game goes, for obvious reasons. Vitality starting to hit their 2 item spikes across the board. Shook is going to be the target. Gilius is ward hop forward, but he's rooted down. The play hasn't worked out. Gilius is all the way back at the inhibitor turret. The rest of Schalke looking to kill the tower. Steve is unable to connect the Gnar as Cabo is looking to chase forward. He's already killed Gilius. A grand challenge is issued. Fox went all the way deep. Cabo's got the double kill. Police is the only victim for Vitality, and Schalke's siege is interrupted. Destiny's available. Gold cards is going to connect Rawls. And the wild card slow him down. Nukeduck's got enough mana for the Destiny. Here comes Cabo from behind. A stun onto Spratle. Destiny sends Nukeduck forward. 2 more Schalke members are down. And Vitality peel for Baron.
This was everything that Vitality needed to gain control over this game. With the Baron in their favor, they can look to finally gain the gold lead, gain control over the map, and Cabo I questioned him early on, but he is definitely turning on right now.
4-2-0, fully activated and enabled.
It's us again. The crowd's like, yeah, Baron buff.
Nice. Of course, guys, if you want to continue watching that match, you can head on over to EU LCS 2. But here in EU LCS 1, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, though. The second match between G2 and Fnatic is coming up, and we will see you guys in just a few minutes.
Coming in.
Just say.
No, Jake, we go club.
Yeah, I go club.
Really? You go club?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay, we go duo.
Flash forward for Perks. Warlip set to fall, looking to turn back on the stun. Will he drop? Snare goes through. Expect brings it back into Reckless. He overextends. Reckless gets popped in an instant. Tricks on a rampage. Fnatic have sent themselves straight to their doom. Warlip set to fall. Perks still barely alive. Olaf can't be disabled, and down goes Perks in the end. Flawless game one from G2.